Ever wonder what your last name really means? That name you carry, the one passed down from your parents, your grandparents, and maybe even your warrior ancestors, holds a story, a deep, powerful story, especially if it's Irish or Scottish. Is your name MacDonald, O'Connor, MacLeod, Gallagher, Stewart, maybe even Kelly or Campbell? Then buckle up, because today we're diving into the hidden meanings behind Irish and Scottish surnames and the surprising secrets they carry about your family, your past, and even your personality. This isn't just about names, this is about identity. Now let's begin. Ever notice how Irish and Scottish last names seem to echo each other? McAllister, O'Malley, MacLeod, O'Connell. They sound alike for a reason, and it's not a coincidence. The truth is, Ireland and Scotland share the same ancient roots. Long before modern borders or British monarchs, these two lands were united by something far older and deeper. And that is the Celtic blood that runs through their veins. The people of both nations spoke different forms of the Gaelic language, lived in close-knit clans, and passed down their history through powerful oral traditions. Among the most sacred of these traditions was the use of surnames. These weren't just names. They were identity tags, carved into memory and legacy. That's why you'll see Mac or Mac in so many surnames. It comes from the Gaelic word for son of. So MacDonald literally means son of Donald. That name once belonged to Highland warlords who ruled vast Scottish lands. And in Ireland, surnames often begin with O, which means descendant of. So O'Sullivan means descendant of Suleaban, possibly a fierce, dark-eyed warrior or clan chief. These prefixes weren't just decorative, they told stories. They explained who you were, where you came from, and who your people were. So when Irish and Scottish surnames sound alike, it's because they come from the same cultural family tree. Different coasts, same soul. Your surname? It might be a whisper from the ancient Celtic past, reminding you that you belong to something timeless and powerful. It's not just a name, it's a legacy. Let's turn to Irish. Irish surnames aren't just family names, they're living history. Many are more than 1,000 years old, making them among the oldest surnames still in use in Europe. But these names weren't just created for record-keeping. They were born out of poetry, power, and pride. Take O'Sullivan, for instance. It comes from Suleaban, a man believed to have had one eye or a piercing dark gaze. It could represent a fierce warrior or a seer with a mysterious past. Either way, it wasn't just a name, it was a title earned. O'Connor from Concobar means lover of hounds. But this isn't about pets. The O'Connors were once kings in Connaught, and hounds symbolized nobility, loyalty, and strength. Murphy, the most common surname in Ireland today, comes from sea warrior. Imagine that. Your name saying my ancestors ruled the ocean, not just the land. And Kelly? That means bright-headed or warrior. It's not just a name, it's a badge of honor. But Ireland's history wasn't kind. Under British rule, many Irish were forced to hide their names. Gaelic was banned, so O'Murchada became Murphy. Macabhan, meaning smith, was stripped down to Smith. These weren't just name changes, they were acts of survival. Silent protests, quiet resistance. So if you carry an Irish surname today, you carry something powerful, a story of endurance, a family's defiance, and a nation's pride tucked into every letter. That name? It's proof that your people never gave up. Now let's talk about Scottish surnames. In Scotland, a surname wasn't just something printed on a piece of paper. It was your flag, your sword, and your shield. It told people where you stood, who you'd fight for, and if needed, who you'd die for. Take the name MacDonald. It means son of Donald. But that name belonged to more than a man. It belonged to a clan, one of the most powerful in the Highlands. The MacDonalds led armies, held lands the size of small countries, and had loyalties stronger than iron. Then there's MacGregor, meaning son of Gregor, from the Gaelic word for watchful or vigilant. The MacGregors were so bold, so feared, that their very name was banned by royal decree. King James VI outlawed it. To speak it was to risk execution. Yet families whispered it in secret, wearing their surname like armor in the dark. MacLeod traces back to Leod, a Norse Gaelic warrior who shaped Western Isles history. And Campbell? It means crooked mouth, possibly from a smirk, a scar, or a legendary grin that became a family trademark. Not all Scottish surnames begin with Mac. Fraser has Norman French roots. Stewart or Stewart comes from royal household officials, men of influence. And Wallace, the name of William Wallace, means simply a man from Wales. But whether it's Highland or Lowland, Norse or Norman, Scottish surnames pulse with honor, loyalty, and legacy. If you carry a Scottish name, you carry not just history, but the heart of a clan. Now here's where things get dramatic. Under English rule, both Irish and Scottish families didn't just lose land, they lost their identity. The first attack wasn't always with swords, it was with names. Irish names rich in meaning and tradition were rewritten, sometimes by force, other times to survive. O'Chale was simplified to Kelly, stripping away centuries of lineage. MacGiola Fadraig, once proud and poetic, became Fitzpatrick, adopting a Norman prefix just to fit in. Scotland faced a similar tragedy. Some surnames like MacGregor were literally banned by law. You could be arrested or executed just for saying your real name. People changed it to Murray, Grant, or even Smith, names that were safe but not theirs. Why the attack on names? Because surnames revealed clan loyalty. And clans were dangerous to the English crown. They represented unity, resistance, and identity. So to break the spirit, they broke the names. Even today, many families have no idea their original surname was changed. But the blood remembers. The stories are buried, not dead. Your name might hold the clue to a forgotten rebellion or a royal bloodline. One of the most debated questions in Irish and Scottish ancestry is the difference between Mac and Mac. At first glance, they seem different, but surprisingly, they actually mean the same thing. Both come from Gaelic and mean son of. Mac is the full version. Mac is just a shortened, quicker-to-write form. It's like writing Dave instead of David. Over time, some families kept Mac to honor tradition, while others preferred Mac for style or practicality. So MacDonald and MacDonald both mean son of Donald. No huge difference, unless you're talking about clan politics. Because here's where it gets juicy. Sometimes families chose a different spelling to distance themselves from rival branches. Imagine two brothers. One becomes McPherson, the other McPherson, after a bitter fallout in the 1700s. Boom. A surname split that lasts for generations. In some cases, families also changed the spelling to hide criminal ties or escape English persecution. So yes, your last name might be shaped by scandal, rebellion, or family drama. Today, people love asking, are Mac names Scottish and Ac names Irish? Truth is, both appear in both countries. The difference is less about geography and more about family choice, pride, or survival. Your name's spelling might look small, but it could reflect centuries of decisions, tensions, and secrets. Now let's bring it into the present. What does your surname reveal about you right now? If your name begins with O, there's a strong chance you're descended from Irish nobility, scholars, or warriors. Names like O'Brien, O'Connell, or O'Rourke often trace back to ancient kings and powerful clans. If you're a Mac or Mac, you're likely connected to Highland Scottish blood. Rugged, loyal, and fiercely independent. That simple prefix carries centuries of Gaelic pride. Then there are names like Doyle, meaning dark stranger. That might mean your ancestor was an outsider, possibly even of Viking origin. Or Buchanan, which means House of the Cannon, suggesting your family once had religious power. What about Burns? It refers to someone who lived by a stream or waterway, perhaps peaceful, poetic, like Robert Burns, the national poet of Scotland. Gallagher means foreign helper, a clue that your ancestor may have aided travelers or led people through foreign lands. Then there's Sinclair, a noble-sounding name of French-Norman origin, derived from Saint Clair. That's not just a name, that's almost a title. And names ending in son, like Thompson, Robertson, or Jackson, are common in Lowland Scotland, each meaning son of someone respected in the clan. So yes, your last name isn't just a name, it's a whisper from the past, telling you who your people were, what they did, and what lives in you today. But that story doesn't stop at the border. In fact, it stretches far beyond. The journey of Irish and Scottish surnames didn't end in the Highlands or the Green Hills of Ireland. Over the centuries, millions of people left their homelands. Some fled famine, others escaped war or colonial rule. Many were even sent away as indentured servants, convicts, or refugees. They crossed oceans. To America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, even parts of the Caribbean. But they never left their names behind. That's why today, wherever you go, you'll hear names like Murphy, MacDonald, Campbell, and O'Brien echoing in neighborhoods and city halls. Some of the world's most influential people carried these names. Ronald Reagan had Irish roots. John F. Kennedy's name is pure Irish nobility. Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone, was Scottish. And Sean Connery, the legendary actor, proudly carried his Scottish heritage on the world stage. Even in pop culture, these names live on, like Jamie Fraser from Outlander, Connor MacLeod from Highlander, and Frank McCourt, author of Angela's Ashes. Wherever Irish and Scottish people went, they brought their names, their stories, and their spirit. And chances are, so did your ancestors. If you carry one of those names today, you're part of a journey that spans continents, generations, and survival. That name, it's your family passport through time. Here's where things get interesting. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself where that family name you carry truly belongs? Is it Irish, Scottish, or both? Most people assume it's one or the other, Irish or Scottish. But here's the secret: many families are both. Why? Because history didn't respect borders. Over the centuries, Irish and Scottish people intermarried, traded, fought together, and sometimes fled together. For example, many Scottish settlers moved into Ulster, Northern Ireland, especially during the plantation period in the 1600s. Their names, traditions, and accents took root there. Meanwhile, Irish families often sailed or migrated to the Hebrides and Western Scotland, blending cultures. Some surnames became part of both traditions. Names like MacNeil, a name proudly found in both Ireland and Scotland; Boyle, a name with roots that can be traced to either side of the water; and Brennan, a name primarily Irish, yet also recorded in parts of Scotland. So if your last name shows up in Irish and Scottish records, you might be carrying the best of both worlds: the fiery heart of Ireland and the unyielding spirit of Scotland. This blending is more common than people realize. Your DNA, your name, even your family stories may carry threads from both sides of the Celtic family tree. So the next time you feel torn between green hills and Highland cliffs, don't choose. You might just be Celtic to the core. Twice blessed, twice proud. Ready to unlock the story behind your name? Here's how to start. First, look up the Gaelic version. Names like Murphy may have once been O'Murshada. The original spelling often carries deeper meaning, like sea warrior or dark-eyed. Second, check for a clan or sept. In Scottish tradition, even if your surname isn't one of the famous ones, it might belong to a subgroup or branch of a larger clan. That means you may be part of something bigger than you think. Third, try online surname databases. Sites like the Irish Times Ancestor Project or official clan websites can point you to the name's region, history, and famous bearers. Fourth, take a DNA test and combine it with surname research. This can show where your family came from, which migrations they followed, and who your genetic cousins are. Lastly, talk to your elders. A grandparent's story, a handwritten letter, or even an old Bible may carry more truth than 10 websites. Once you put the pieces together, your surname transforms. It's no longer just a label. It becomes a storybook, a map, a mirror. And in that mirror, you might not just see your face, but the faces of the hundreds who came before you. And as we come to the end of this journey through time, heritage, and identity, remember this: your surname is more than just a label. It's a living story. It carries the weight of generations, the echoes of ancient lands, and the spirit of those who came before you. Whether your name is Irish, Scottish, or touched by both, it connects you to a legacy that refuses to be forgotten. In every vowel and consonant lies a clue, a trace of battles fought, lands crossed, languages spoken, and values held. So, carry your name not just with pride, but with understanding. Because when you truly know where you come from, you walk differently, you speak differently, you live differently, and that quiet strength, that deep-rooted identity, is something no one can take from you. Now, here's a question for you. What's your last name, and do you know the story behind it? Was it passed down through warriors, rebels, farmers, or storytellers? Drop your surname and what you know about it in the comments below. We'd love to see how far these names have traveled. And if you enjoyed this journey into Irish and Scottish surnames, give this video a like, subscribe for more heritage and history deep dives, and share it with someone who needs to know what their name really means. Remember, your name is not just who you are, it's who you come from. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.